Hey guys, I just want to share with you my interview by Sergio from the Rideshare Guy. The video is titled The House Always Wins, Driver Between a Hard Place and a Rock. And I will show you about 11-minute clip and then I will post a link below so that way you guys can see the rest of it. So anyways, hope you guys enjoy.
Come to another episode of Behind the Wheel. This is the real Behind the Wheel, not the one on the Uber website. So today I'm joined by Mike from the Inland Empire. Mike, welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
We're doing good. We're doing good. And, Mike is one of these drivers that I wanted to talk to for a while. This is a great occasion and education and information, actually, because he's a numbers man. He knows what he's doing, and he did not dress up for us. He does dress like this when he's driving Uber and Lyft, which I think is amazing. But we get into all that. So introduce yourself, what you did before, how you got into rideshare, how long you've been at it.
My name is Mike Bedner. I've been doing rideshare for probably about 2, 3 years. I used to be a professional taxi driver. I had my own business. 10 years later down the line, unfortunately, these companies unlawfully monopolized the industry, destroyed my market. And I just figured, if you can't beat them, join them. Tried it out. I already own some Teslas. Um, Upon trying it out, I just saw how corrupt it was, and they controlled every facet of how I operated, including my fee. And the only option I had was accepting or denying anything. And it's just a smidgen of what a real independent contractor is. And I went from making, let's say, $50 an hour on short trips to 150 on long trips as a taxi driver with a lower overhead than what it would be for Uber and Lyft to just complete garbage pay where I'm literally slaving away just to make ends meet.
Yeah, I
And
mean, we do hear quite a bit about that, but before we get into the details of what you're
yeah.
doing and what you're discovering on your own, let's talk a little bit about the taxi industry, right? I mean,
Mhm.
obviously it's a regulated industry, obviously have set rates, you cannot go below that.
Right.
And let's, tell us a little bit about that transition you experienced from the taxi industry to independent contractorship with Uber and Lyft.
Well, as a taxi driver is nice, you run your mileage and you get paid for what you work for. With
Yeah.
Uber and Lyft, they keep you in a little bubble and you can never truly get ahead. And that's the big difference. You're just working and working and working. At the end of the day, realistically, Uber and Lyft, they should always make money, even if we are at a loss. And that's the biggest problem here because we go to work to make money. We don't go to work to make them money. Like in a sense, we work together for the common goal of making money, but know, it shouldn't be just one sided. It shouldn't be all about them.
Yeah.
And the great thing with when I was a taxi driver was you work longer hours, you make more money. You run more miles, you make more money. With Uber and Lyft, they cut your mileage pay when you work more miles, you
Yeah.
know.
I mean, you said you've been doing rideshare for 2, 3 years now. Obviously, during the pandemic, you worked a little bit and then things were good, right?
Actually, it
Because,
started
things were terrific
right after the pandemic.
right after the pandemic. Okay. So, but then you were operating with the rate card, just like the cabs do,
Yes.
albeit
Yes.
a quarter of what the rate card of cabs are in LA. In fact, Mike is one of the he supplied me with some amazing information and charts, and which we talked about on Show Me the Money Club a couple of weeks ago, that maybe Uber and Lyft are not charging enough, and
Yeah.
what the comparison would be between the cabs, between what cabs charge for similar trips or identical trips, and how underpaid the drivers are because these companies are not charging enough to their consumers. Is that correct?
Yes. It's like they set the bar so low so they can monopolize the market. And now they're at the point where they're trying to get it back up, but they're only trying to get it up for themselves. And then what they're portraying on some trips is they're not even making money. So
Yeah.
is the bar so low they're not making money, or are they cooking the books? Because there's certain aspects that I don't agree with, like possibly their commercial insurance, which is a really bad insurance, which only covers for period three, right? Only
Yeah.
period three.
Yeah.
And if I was able to buy my own insurance, it would be, let's say, maybe about 2,000 less if I average everything out. And the insurance policy be way better, and I'd be covered for period 1, 2, and 3. And there's big differences because I'm paying for their insurance and my regular car insurance. It doesn't make any sense. If I'm an independent contractor, I would love to purchase my own insurance.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the insurance coverage they provide is for P1, P2, P3, but they vary so much. And then God forbid you get in a crash, you have the $2,500 deductible from the get-go anyway,
Right.
which is draconian, really. But let's talk a little bit about your experimenting over the last month or so that you kept me in touch with, and what did you discover? I mean, we know these things, right? A lot of these companies come out and throw things out there that are just, and they keep saying, well, we're not going to lie about this. We have the data, right? So let's start taking their data apart a little bit. They're well known, obviously, and the CEOs have, one of them at least was on our show and said the driver earnings are up. They're, on average nationwide, drivers are earning $32 per active hour, right?
Right.
And you did a little bit of your own experimenting. Actually, you took one for
Yes.
the team, which we
Yes.
appreciate. And what do
Financially,
you
it
think?
hurts. Financially, it hurts. And I have to admit, I do not trust these companies at all. They lie through their teeth. Um, and my experiment last night was I had a special app that made me make sure I ran $32 active hours, and I wasn't making any money. I wasn't taking any trips. It basically denied every single order or trip that was sent to me. And it got to the point where I started getting desperate because I'm out here to make money. So I started readjusting it lower and lower and lower from 30 to 25 to $20 a trip, just so I'd start making money. I came home after 12 hours, about $100, and that's because I folded on my original goal of $32 active hours, like they said it was supposed to be. And the proof's in the pudding. You
Well,
know,
you're in the proverbial between a hard place and a rock, right?
exactly.
And I mean, you can decline, and recline and decline, just decline, right? And where are
Yeah,
you going to be at the end of the day? You're just going to be sitting there,
broke.
earning nothing, or
Hmm.
you're going to take the crumbs that they're offering you. Ultimately,
Exactly.
they break you down, right?
Yeah.
And so it seems like you gave up. And then, so what were your results yesterday when you did that 12-hour shift?
12 hours for about $100.
Gross.
Yeah. And that's before expenditures. So, we all know.
So you're either going to take what they're giving you to the point to make some cash flow because you're
I
out
have
there.
no choice. So basically, it's like I'm forced into it because,
Yeah,
yes, I get there's an option, work another job. But for this moment, I'm doing this, and I'm forced into taking really garbage orders because I have no delegation over my own pay.
yeah,
I'm an independent contractor. I've been one for a long time, separate from driving, and I've always delegated my own pay, my own time, the way I worked, my tools, and I can't do that with these companies. They delegate every facet for me.
yeah. Well, but let's break that down a little bit further, right? So you
Yeah.
also discovered that, these companies have a way of spinning things and deflecting things, right? Because when we
Yes.
say, well, nobody's earning 32 per active hour, because if your utilization rate is 50%, that 32 is 16. It's not 32.
Hmm. Right.
Just like you figured out yesterday, right? I bet you your utilization rate yesterday was probably 25% because you kept declining all these trips. And at the
Hmm.
end, you probably were active for, out of the 12 hours, probably, I don't know, 3 hours maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually look at that point. I just look at my online hours because, you know, this is how people should look at it. If you're going to work at 12 o'clock and you work till, 12 hours later, that is your work schedule,
Yeah.
So if you're actively driving or not, you're technically out there working, you
Yeah.
know. And so I don't look at the actual active time usually. All I know is, you know, I was out there for 12 hours. I ran my course for 30 an hour or $32 an hour. And my results are I didn't make any money.
Yeah.
I cannot live off of what they're saying. They're saying all the orders are $32 paid, active, but I wasn't even getting that
Yeah.
coming through in my end.
Yeah. So, but they also talked about when upfront fares came around, right? They
Mm-hmm.
said it's a rebalancing act. The short trips are going to pay more, a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more, and the long trips are going to pay a little bit less. Of course, no specifics, but it's
Right.
all going to average out. Trust the algorithm, right? We're going to manage this in a way that it's not, it doesn't end up being a rate cut. We just ran a survey and over 2,000 people voted.
Mm-hmm.
93% of the people voted that upfront fares is a rate cut. Do you agree with that
Yes,
survey?
I definitely agree with it. And I've even calculated it out, compared it to trips.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of trips where they're trying to pay 50 cents a mile on average. So in my area, it used to be 75 cents a mile. So that's obviously 25 cents a mile off the top.
Yeah. And so let's break it down. So on the short trips, I figured, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, that
Mm-hmm.
they are paying about $1.25 a mile. Let's say,
Yeah.
a 4 mile trip, it's going to pay you $5. That's going to take you 20 minutes. Well,
Yes.
if you take that to active hours, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
do, assuming you do three more of those identical trips, $5 for,
Right.
15 minutes each, you're at $20 an active hour. Where is the
Mm-hmm.
32? Now,
There is
if you
no
don't do
32.
that and you take a long trip at 50 cents a mile, yes,
Mm-hmm.
they may be paying you $30 per active hour for that single trip. But
Right.
then the return is not factored in, right?
Yeah.
The mileage rates at 50 cents a mile is not, none of that is factored in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing this dilemma for the driver. Take everything, right? And take
Mm-hmm.
short.
All right, that's the short preview I have for you guys. I will leave the link below. If you guys enjoyed the content so far, can you please just subscribe? Helps me out grow my channel. And if you can also hit that like button. Thanks, guys.